Is that your intention? Plenty of seats up front for our veterans. We're going to go ahead and get started. Hey, everybody in the back, hear me okay? All right. Okay. Good morning. Kissing Tree Master Community in partnership with Brookfield Residential and Kissing Tree Veterans Group is pleased to welcome everyone this morning. The Memorial Plaza represents a sacred place for all residents of Kissing Tree to honor their loved ones and their friends. The creation of the Veterans Plaza has provided the community with a unique space on campus to hold memorials, special events, and honor those who served in the armed forces and those we love. The creation of such a place is the joint vision of community leaders, their families, business partners, and the people who have committed to creating a vision for a place like Kissing Tree in the hill country of Texas. Ladies and gentlemen, will you please rise as the San Marcos High School ROTC Color Guard leads us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Attention! Carry! Color! Forward! March! Color guard! Halt! Left! Right! Three! Stand! Colors!
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Order! Colors! Right! Right! Forward! March! Point! On!
You may be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, veterans, honored guests, it's with respect and admiration that I introduce to you a true American hero, retired Captain Chad Fleming. Captain Fleming's commitment to duty led him to deploy an incredible 11 times overseas with the U.S. Army's elite 75th Ranger Regiment, supporting crucial missions in both Operation Enduring Freedom and Operation Iraqi Freedom. Captain Fleming's bravery was tested time and time again, as he was wounded in combat on 3 separate occasions, enduring 2 gunshot wounds, 3 hand grenade attacks, and an IED. While many would understandably step back from service to their country after this experience, Captain Fleming persevered. After the amputation of his left leg, he demonstrated incredible resilience by redeploying 5 more times. His story is a testament to the strength of the human spirit and his unwavering belief in the values we hold dear. Captain Fleming's numerous awards included the Meritorious Service Medal, 2 Bronze Stars with Valor, 3 Purple Heart Medals, and the Army Commendation Medal with Valor, all of which reflect his extraordinary service to our country. Even after retiring from active duty, his commitment to our nation has never wavered, as he has continued to serve for an additional 12 years. Captain Fleming, your story is an inspiration to all of us, and we welcome you to Kissing Tree.
Thanks, man. Hey, good morning. Before I ever get started, I always like to throw out a couple of disclaimers. First and foremost, I'm not politically correct, all right? I figure at the loss of a limb in defense of the country, I can pretty much say whatever I want to, and most of the time I do, all right? So, and then secondly, everything you get from me today is coming from the heart. I refuse to stand behind the podium unless a firefight breaks out and I need to use that for concealment, then I may go there. But otherwise, I'm not going to stand behind that thing. I'm going to stand out here in the sun and get sun on the one leg that I do have, and enjoy this day. So before I ever get started, I'm not going to make you stand up, but my fellow veterans in the audience, please raise your hand for a minute. Everybody give me a hand of applause. Thank you for your service. Pretty special day for me today. This is actually what's referred to in the military as my Alive Day. So actually 19 years ago, October the 3rd, would have been about 8 hours ago, is when this injury, when this firefight would have happened, which would result in the amputation of my leg. So today's my Alive Day, and I get to spend it with you all here at Kissing Tree. So that's a little honor on top of what we're doing today for this dedication. So, everybody asks what makes people want to go serve? And you have to understand the statistics too of who actually serves this country. Less than 1% of the population of the United States ever goes and volunteers to serve this country. That is a very small percentage when you think about it. And so the fact that Brookfield and this development came out and said, you know what, we want to honor our veterans. We want to do something special. We want to dedicate a Veterans Plaza out here. That's pretty special. I speak all around the country. This is the first one of these that I have ever done in a subdivision where the company that actually built and developed this place had enough love and support and honor for our fellow veterans that they said, hey, we're going to do something special. I met a few of you this morning. I understand y'all got together and raised money to help do this, which that's a feat within itself when you get a bunch of different service members together and y'all all have to vote on something and come to an agreement. I'm sure the Marines had crayons over there and they were trying to figure out how to design it. And the Air Force people were having filet mignon catered in. The Navy people were taking a nap over there, and there are no Space Force people, I'm pretty sure, unless if you're Space Force, raise your hand. I didn't think so. Nobody here is young enough to be in the Space Force. So what makes us go serve? What makes us want to go do what we do for the country? It's a higher calling in life. It's doing something outside of what's good for you. It's what's good for your country. I was born and raised in a military family. It's kind of like Lieutenant Dan. You could go all the way back in my family tree and somebody served somewhere. And so it's something that I always wanted to do. And I remember growing up, of course, my mom didn't want me to go in the military. And unfortunately, that was one of my first hardships in life was I was coming out of high school. I had the opportunity to play college football, and that's all I wanted to do. And then I find out that my mom had been diagnosed with a terminal illness, and about 3 months before I was going to graduate high school. And so my family obviously was, like most of us here, it's always family first before anything else. But being young and immature, all I wanted to do was go to college and play football and do whatever, else I was going to do in college. And so I made that hard decision at the time, and I said, you know what, I'm going to stay and help take care of my mom. There was no portal back then, all right? So once you gave up that opportunity to go play football, well, you were pretty much done at that point. And I remember walking in my mom's hospital room one day, and she could tell something was wrong. She knew me better than anybody, and she said, hey, son, what's wrong? And I said, Mom, all the guys are going on a senior trip, and I'm going to stay here and take care of you. And she's like, no, you're not. She's like, you're going, go have fun. I'll be here when you get back. I said, okay, awesome. So we took off. I was born and raised in a small town, Tuscaloosa, Alabama. There's a football team there for you Aggies, in case you didn't know. I figured somebody would throw something at me here in a minute. And so being born and raised there and living there, when you went on a senior trip, it means you went down to the panhandle of Florida, you partied for a few days, you came back, and then you were supposed to be more mature and grown up, right? Doesn't always work that way. So if you hadn't figured out my personality yet, I'm a type A personality. I'm an adrenaline junkie. I'm just the guy. I was like the guy that you could always dare to do anything. So we get down to Florida. We're having a good time. And the guys come up to me one day and they said, hey, we're about to run out of money. We got to go home. But there's this competition and we signed you up for it. And if you win, there's a cash prize, right? Whenever your buddies do that, ask them what they signed you up for. Don't just take their word for it, all right? Friday night rolls around. Car pulls up. We get in the car. We head on down to this nightclub. It's 18 to get in, 21 to drink. And as we pull in the parking lot, I see this marquee sign, and it dawns on me what they signed me up to do, what to do. Ladies, who've seen the Chippendales? Oh, yeah. Amateur competition, grand prize $1,500. First place went to this dude right here. So I became the hero of the senior trip. Life was good. We had money for, probably shouldn't tell you, beer and another hotel rooms for a few days, and life was good. Go back, unfortunately, my mom passes away not long after that, and I'm sitting there trying to figure out what I'm going to do. For some reason, I wanted to go to college. Both my parents put themselves through college. I don't know why I wanted to go. My motto in school was C's, get degrees, and that's the way I ran the whole time. But I realized that I had to put myself through school at this point in time. And so I thought, well, I need extra time to study, but I got to make a living. So what could I possibly do that would allow me to do both? And it dawns on me, well, you did this one thing one time and you did it pretty well, and you could work on Friday and Saturday nights and make plenty of money. So I became an entrepreneur. And I get this phone call one night, and this lady says, hey, I understand you entertain. I said, yes, ma'am, I do. She goes, I need to hire you. I said, when? She goes, tomorrow night. I said, no. I said, I don't do last minute. She said, I'll pay you double what you normally make. I said, what's your address? So I started writing this address down. She goes, hey, listen. She goes, but there's a catch. I said, okay, what's the catch? She said, you got to come dressed like Superman. I said, that ain't a problem. I said, I got the suit in the closet, the boots to match. I'll be there. Superman dons his outfit and heads to a bachelorette party. There are 62 women at this bachelorette party, and there's this huge table right there in the middle when I walk in, and I'm like, all right, that's going to be my stage. I just got to figure out how to get there, do my thing, and then I'm out of here. Music comes on, Velcro starts popping, Superman starts making his way to the table. This was prior to my military service, so I did not know anything about attention to detail, right? These ladies have been partying for about 2 hours prior to me showing up. What I didn't see on top of the table was all the water spots where the drinks had been sitting for a couple hours. So Superman's feet hit the table. Both my feet come out from under me. I hit my head on the side of the table, and I knocked myself out. You can't make this up. I am laying in the floor in a Superman cape, red boots, and not a whole lot more, right? So after the paramedics get me up, take me to the hospital, I did not get paid that night. It dawns on me I may need a career change. So I did it for a little while longer, but then I did make the career change. And with my personality, I knew the sheriff very well, still know him very well to this day. I went and said, hey, I want to be a deputy. He goes, great. So he sends me off to the academy. I go and finish the academy, come out, and I'm having the time of my life. I'm working the midnight shift at the sheriff's office. I'm going to college during the day, and life couldn't be better. I pulled this car over one night, Saturday night, it's about 1 o'clock in the morning. I walk up to the window, and I'm like, hey, ma'am, I need to see your driver's license and registration. And she looks at me, and she goes, oh, I know what you're about to do. I said, no, ma'am. I said, this is a real badge. This is a real gun, and you may get a real ticket. And she goes, oh, keep talking dirty. I've seen you before. So then it dawns on me I may need another career change, right? Which is how I actually got into the military. I knew I was losing time. I knew if I was going to do it, that time was of the essence. I needed to go and get in. So I showed up at the recruiter's office. I walked in. I said, hey, I want to enlist. The guy goes, hold on. He goes, you got a college degree. I said, yeah, it doesn't matter. I want to enlist. I want to have fun. I don't want a whole lot of responsibility. If I decide to go be an officer later or something, I'll do that down the road. So that's exactly what I did. Went in prior to the global war on terrorism. So as all my fellow veterans can tell you, there's a lot of days you wake up and you question why you ever signed that dotted line, because there's a lot of stupid things you can do in the military when something's not going on. And that was my problem at some points in time. I'm like, wow, I had a great life. Why did I do this? And then the war kicked off. And then everything got very real, very fast. You know, for time's sake, not to get all the way into my story, but I was on my 6th deployment. I was part of the special operations unit. We would deploy for 90 to 100 days, and we would come home for 90 to 100 days. And so that was the operational tempo. The reason that we did that is because the operational tempo was too high to keep up with that pace for too long. On that 6th deployment, we were 18 hours away from coming home. The airplanes were already inbound to come get us, and we had pagers back then. For the millennials out here, those were little black boxes that had numbers across the top. And my pager went off. We were in the gym working out, waiting for the planes to get there. So I go back over to the Tactical Operations Center. I walk in. I'm like, hey, sir, there must be a malfunction. This thing went off. He goes, nope. He goes, get your guys. You're going out. The number 2 bad guy in Iraq is headed from the north-south, coming south. You guys are going to go intercept him and get him. I'm like, hold on, sir. I'm like, the plane's coming. He's like, yeah, not for you. He goes, you're staying. And I said, why? He goes, well, you and I work very well together. You've been here longer than anybody else. You know the area better. And, you know, at some point in time, you're just like, roger that, sir, and move out. It was about 11 o'clock in the morning, extremely hot, 120-something degrees that day, miserable. And so we go out looking for this guy. We were about 45 minutes away from running out of fuel. I called back. I'm like, hey, sir, we got 45 minutes of fuel. Got to come home. He goes, make one more pass, and I'll bring you home if you don't get it. That one more pass would end up changing the rest of my life. So we hit an exit ramp. We turned underneath the bridge overpass. Unbeknownst to us, as the lead vehicle went underneath that bridge, an Iraqi taxi cab pulled out in front of the lead vehicle and stopped. That was the initiation of the ambush. The driver of that vehicle should have ran that car and continued driving, but for some reason that day he didn't do it. And it left my vehicle exposed underneath the overpass, and they initiated the ambush from on top of the bridge. They began throwing hand grenades, shooting AK-47s, RPGs, everything. And as everybody knows, you don't want the enemy to have the high ground, and they had it that day, and they were basically raining down on top of us. By the time we figured out exactly what was going on, I heard a very distinct sound. I heard ding, ding, ding. And I realized that a hand grenade had landed inside the vehicle about 1.5 feet or so from where I was. The hand grenade detonated inside the vehicle. Vehicle filled up with smoke. Guys are screaming. Don't know if anybody's dead or how bad anybody's wounded, but know that it's a bad day. Right about the time as that's starting the process, the second grenade lands in the vehicle and it detonates as well. So now 2 grenades have gone off inside the vehicle, and that whole fight or flight sensation kicks in. And we decided we were going to get out, and it just wasn't that day. So we made our way out immediately into a very nasty gunfight. I remember being in the gunfight for a few minutes, and then I remember feeling a sensation like somebody took a hot poker and ran it through the top of my leg, and I looked down and I realized I'd been shot. So now that's actually the first time I realized how bad the rest of my injuries were from the hand grenades, because I hadn't paid that much attention at that time. And so, you know, we get on the radio and start calling for the doc. Doc says, hey, can't get to you. Gunfight's too intense. Self-aid, buddy aid. As a boy from Alabama, that is not what you want to hear, because medical was not my job, which means I didn't pay attention during most of those classes. And now he's telling me I got to fix myself. And I'm like, no, that's your MOS. You got to get over here and help me. Didn't happen that day. So start bandaging myself up. One of my buddies was close enough to help do that. And then, as you all know, you can't quit. There's no timeout. There's no red card that says, hey, pause this deal until I get to feel a little bit better. Your buddies to your right and your left, they want to go home just as bad as you do. So you got to get back in the fight. So I remember getting back in the fight for a few minutes. I started losing consciousness from shock and from loss of blood. I remember using my rifle a couple of times as like a cane or a crutch, if you will, and pulling the pistol out and stayed engaged in the firefight for as long as I could until I did eventually pass out. I remember hearing everything that was going on. The medevac helicopters couldn't get in there because of the gunfight. They decided to take us back by ground. If you ever Google me or you read anything on me online, you'll see that I have a very special relationship with a guy named Kevin Plank. Kevin is the founder of Under Armour. And so at this point in time, I had sent my dad an email. I said, hey, Dad, Under Armour just came out with this men's breathable underwear, and I think it'll do great in the desert. Send me some. My dad's response was, hey, son, those things cost $39 a pair. Never paid that much for underwear. Not happening. My response was, hey, buy me some and I'll pay you when I get home. Dude sent 1 pair. I sent 1 pair. And I had them on that day. And the guys were like, hey, we got you back to the combat support hospital. You hadn't said anything to anybody. They throw you up on the gurney. They start rolling you in. And this nurse comes up. She starts going up your pant leg with this pair of scissors. They said you rolled up on the gurney and you were like, hey, whatever you do, don't cut my drawers. They cost $40. Boom. And I passed back out. So now, a couple days later, I'm laying there feeling sorry for myself. Poor, pitiful me. What if I'd have been on the airplane and all that? And I see this nurse coming down the hallway with a pair of underwear on her finger. I'm thinking to myself, what is she doing? She walks up, she goes, you remember me? I said, She goes, well, here's your $40 underwear. She flicks them over. So let me tell you where that pair of underwear is right now. It's got shrapnel holes in it. It's got a bullet hole in it. That pair of underwear is in a frame, and it hangs right outside of Kevin Plank's office in Baltimore, Maryland at Under Armour headquarters. So every time that I've ever met Tom Brady, Steph Curry, all those guys, I'm like, hey, when was the last time you went to Kevin's office? Oh, I was there a couple weeks ago. You see that underwear outside his door? Yeah, that's my underwear. And the only reason you're signing a multi-million-dollar contract is because people put underwear on like that and went overseas and did what they had. Oh, cool, man, thanks. I'm like, yeah, you're still not that cool. Go away. So, they packaged me up. I was talking to a couple of veterans earlier. One of them was a helicopter pilot in Balad, and that's actually where they sent me. They packaged me up. They sent me down to Balad. That was a holding station before you went on to launch school and so forth. Here's where the story gets real fun. Hey, where are my Air Force veterans? If you're in the Air Force, raise your hand. All right, these are the smartest people out here today, all right? If your kids, your neighbors' kids, your grandkids, I don't care who they are, if they say they want to go in the military, tell them to go to the Air Force, all right? Everybody else is at the Motel 6, they're staying at the Four Seasons, all right? Everybody else is eating MREs, they're eating steak dinners, right? Go to the Air Force. We're flying into Balad, and I remember looking outside that porthole window on that stretcher, and I look down and I see this huge tent. It looks like this Kissing Tree complex right here. And I think to myself, well, the Air Force must be there. Sure enough, we land, they start rolling us in. There's an air conditioner for every 1.5 feet inside of that tent. There are people wearing polar fleece in the desert because it's so dadgum cold in that tent. And I am pissed. I'm like, I knew I should have joined the Air Force. Everybody else is sweating like a hostage, not the Air Force, right? They roll me in. I have cussed out about 2 or 3 people rolling in there, and they just park me off to the side, and they're like, we're gonna let this guy calm down for a little bit. So again, I'm sitting there feeling sorry for myself, poor pitiful me, blah, blah, blah. And I look up, and all of a sudden, I see this gorgeous Air Force nurse walking towards me. So I fix myself up, I'm sitting there, and she walks up, and she goes, hey, how are you? She goes, whoo. She goes, when's the last time you had a bath? I said, oh, it's been a long time. She goes, you know what you need? I said, no, but please tell me. She goes, you need a sponge bath. I said, oh, yes, I do. Yes, I do. So now I'm sitting here grinning from ear to ear. This guy comes walking up and he goes, man, what's wrong with you? I said, what do you mean? He goes, dude, you came in here, you cussed half of us out. Now you're sitting here grinning from ear to ear. Something's going on. I said, yeah. I said, I'm about to get a sponge bath. He goes, yes, you are. My name's John, and I'm here to give it to you. I said, no, that is not part of the deal. I went all the way to law school, Germany, smelling bad, I promise. So here's where my story changes. Here's why today is so important. Today is so important because of everybody that's sitting here, whether you're a veteran yourself or whether you're a spouse of a veteran, a partner of a veteran, I don't care who it is. It's the support mechanism. A lot of times we as veterans tend to forget that the people that made us successful in the military were the people to our right and to our left. Those family members of ours that supported us when we were deployed. Those family members that spent long days and long nights by themselves not knowing where we were, what we were doing, or what was going on, but they managed to hold everything together. And as a veteran, personally, I haven't always been good at letting those people know how much they meant to me and how much of a part of the success of my life that they were. So my fellow veterans out there, I want to give a round of applause to those people sitting around you that have made you successful and allowed you to serve this amazing country. You all serve just as well, and thank you for your service. You know what Brookfield has done out here, and the fun thing about life is I get to work alongside Brookfield now. I never thought that I would be in the mortgage business, but I am as a division president of Benchmark Mortgage. And that story within itself is very interesting because the way that introduction happened was through my service. I met the owners on a veterans hunt, on a wounded veterans hunt in South Dakota in 2009. And about 4 years or so ago, they talked me into getting into the civilian mortgage business. And I'm like, geez, I I like combat better. At least I knew who was shooting at me. I don't know who was shooting at me in the business world, but we get to do life alongside the people that we like to do life alongside. And when we see a project taking shape like this one, with the bricks out there, with the memorial out there, and just paying honor and homage to the service of those that unselfishly gave everything to serve this country. And then we have to remember those that we lost that paid the ultimate sacrifice so that we can be here today. That's pretty powerful when a corporation decides that they're going to put not only their time and effort, but their money behind making that happen as well. So I want to take one more opportunity to give a round of applause to the Brookfield team that helped put all this together and continues to support this on a day-to-day, because this is the only one that I know of that I've ever been to, definitely in the state of Texas. So Brookfield folks, thank you for everything that you've done to make this happen. All right, I know it's getting warm. I see people starting to sweat like I was at one point in time, so I'm gonna start wrapping this thing up. Thank you again from the bottom of my heart, from my family to your family, to everybody out here that put the colors on, that wore the uniform, that went and said, hey, I'm gonna serve something larger than myself so that we can try to make this place a better world. I can assure you I've been to 26 different countries around the world. On the worst day of ours, we still have it far better than anybody else does. Are there things we need to work on? Absolutely. But it's kind of like a marriage. You always got to keep working on stuff. It's never going to be absolutely perfect. You got to continue to work and do things. And so there was a point in time, I'm going to leave you with this. If you don't take anything else away from here today, take this with you. There was a point in time I was rolling around Walter Reed Hospital feeling sorry for myself. I didn't have a leg. I was in a wheelchair. And I looked up and I see this kid. He's missing both legs above the knees, and he's missing an arm. He's the first triple amputee of the war. And this kid had the biggest smile on his face. And I'm thinking to myself, why am I feeling sorry for myself? This kid's got it way worse than I do. And so I rolled back to my room. I hopped up in the bed. I'm sitting there still feeling sorry for myself. And it dawned on me. And I came up with a little catchphrase to help motivate myself, because I was in a dark place at that point in time. And my catchphrase goes like this: not every day is a good day, but there's good in every day. And so what I had to do was, when I realized I was going to have a bad day, when I realized the bad day all of a sudden happened, I had to go and find the good in the day. I had to find the reason that it was no longer a bad day. And so my gas tank of goodness is what I called it. You know, when I woke up, I realized every day I took a breath, 50% of my tank is full, because I got to take another breath, all right? Then I realized if I got up and I went down the hall to get coffee or do whatever it was I did in the morning, I look over at my spouse, the dog, the parakeet, the ferret, whatever it is, something that somebody loves me, all right? So there's another 25% of why I should be having a good day. So now I'm like at 75% of why I should be having a good day. And then I get out to go in the world and do the things that I do every day. All right. The people around you in the world, your friends, I'm not going to give them 25% because 10% of them suck. You just haven't figured it out yet. All right. They get about 12.5%, because some of them you probably need to get rid of because they're not the best thing for you. They don't want to see you succeed. They're jealous or whatever. Get rid of them. You're not going to miss it. All right. So now there's no reason. You're above that 85% mark of why you should be having a good day. At that point in time, stop. Embrace it. Run with it, because you're not guaranteed one more day after that. You're not guaranteed another day after that. And my goal after this injury was to redeploy. And they all told me no. No, 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 no. Finally, I got a yes. And when I got that yes, I ran with it. I said, I'm not going to stop. I want to be the first amputee that gets to go back into combat. And that's exactly what I did. I got shot 2 more times after being an amputee, so I'm not the smartest guy in the room, all right? But that yes is what made a difference in my life. That yes is what made me who I am today. And that's the power of a yes. Be very careful in life before you say no, because one yes could make the difference in somebody's life for the rest of their life. I had befriended, they make all my legs in San Antonio at the Center for the Intrepid. All right, I live in Dripping Springs. but I had befriended a kid down there that was a double amputee. He was a Marine. He was a Lance Corporal. If he had known I was a captain at that time, he probably never would have talked to me, because the Marines don't like to talk to the swine, the officer swine, and all that good stuff anyway. Hey, see, there we go. We'll start barking here in a minute. Give him a minute. And so anyway, this kid rolls up to me one day in his wheelchair and he goes, "Hey, would you take me to the San Antonio rodeo?" I was not from Texas. I did not know that the daggum rodeo lasts for a month in San Antonio. Then it goes to Houston for a month. Then it goes to Dallas. I mean, it's like it's the craziest thing ever. And everything in my body said, tell this kid no. He's got no legs. He wants you to take him to a rodeo where there's dirt, bulls, beer, rednecks, everything else. And this is not going to be a good mix. And I almost told that kid no. For some reason that day I said, "You know what, buddy?" I said, "I'll take you." And the kid started crying. And I was like, "Hey man, what's wrong with you?" He goes, "Well, I asked 6 other people and they all told me no." He goes, "I know why." He goes, "I don't have any legs. This ain't going to be fun for you." He goes, "But it's a passion of mine because I was a professional roper before I joined the Marine Corps and I want to go." And I'm like, "Buddy, we're about to have the best time ever." Throw his wheelchair in the back of the truck. We start driving to the San Antonio rodeo. About halfway there, he goes, "Hey, by the way, 2 of my friends I grew up with are going to meet us there." I'm like, "Okay, great, perfect." I just keep on driving. We get there. It's the craziest thing you've ever seen. This dude's sitting next to me with no legs and a wheelchair. Between the 2 of us, we got 1 good leg, and it's me. And now we both have beer. So people are looking at us like that's going to be a wreck right there between one good leg and these guys drinking beer. And I look up, and all of a sudden, you'll see a pattern going on with me here in a minute. I look up, and I see these 2 beautiful ladies walking towards us, and I'm like, "God, I hope that's his friends." And sure enough, one of them locks eyes with me, and she immediately falls in love. It's my story, and she ain't here, so that's the way it happened, right? She saw me, she fell in love, and my actual pickup line to her was this. I said, "Hey, look," I said, "you know, in case you can't tell, I'm missing a leg." I said, "But I still have the same amount of blood in my body from when I lost my leg. And it's got to go somewhere at special times of the evening. So I don't ever need any of those little pills or anything. It's just that." So this dude's texting his orthopedic surgeon going, "Hey man, can you cut my leg off tomorrow?" Do it. And that was it. After that, she's like, "I got to have you, man. I got to marry you." And that's exactly what happened. I got 2 amazing kids, a beautiful life, and all of it because I said yes. Had that not happened, I wouldn't be a Texas resident. Because you ladies that are Texans, y'all believe in it. I mean, I was stationed in Virginia at that time. She left me twice to have our kids in the state of Texas because she said, "I will not have a child without a Texas birth certificate." It's a real thing, all right? So the power of a yes, you can make a difference in somebody's life. The power of a yes that you all got here in this community was Brookfield saying, "Yes, we will honor and support you by putting this wonderful, amazing Veterans Plaza over there." So although I don't know any of you, I've only met a few of you, I love each and every one of you because you're my people. You're a fellow American. Most of you have served, so we share the same blood. We've walked in the same countries. We breathe the same dirt. I love each and every one of you. I wish you the best, and God bless America. Thank y'all. Have a great day.
Obviously, we're so blessed to have Chad Fleming here to tell his story. Thank you for your service. Happy Alive Day. Proud to have you here. 19 years. Thank you for the service of everybody here. We wouldn't be here today. We wouldn't get to be living in Kissing Tree. We wouldn't get to be honoring our veterans without everybody's sacrifice who fights for us every day and fought for us in the past. We have a couple special guests here. I'd like Chad to stay up here. I'd like to introduce 2 friends of mine, Jim McMahon and Jimmy Mack. Please welcome them.
Good job, brother. Well, welcome. What a great day. Wow. Give Chad a hand. Wasn't that good? I'm blessed to have heard that speech or talk about 155 times, I think. But we traveled a little bit together. I'm blessed because of it. I'm president, one of the owners of Benchmark Maury, been in the Maury business forever. That's my cognito. We get to do this, and it's pretty special in our company. You'd like to hear Jimmy. I'm on the board of an organization called Valor. It was created because of Chad and some of the people he knows. And I just really want to talk about that for a minute. I mean, we are thankful to be in the lending business and all that cool stuff in America, but this is real. And, you know, again, I've joked, but seriously, I've heard that speech a lot, and it moves me every time. It's the truth. There's a lot more to it. If you got the long version sometime, you'll have to hear it or go online. Chad was part of a group that pulled a guy named Marcus Luttrell out of Afghanistan, turned into a movie called Lone Survivor. Him and Marcus did a pretty big deal around the country that we were a sponsor of, called the Patriot Tour, right? With Chris Kyle's widow, Taya. And it's amazing to give back. That's my message to you this morning. And before Jimmy gets up here, you know, we have an organization that Brookfield's gonna, you know, let us talk about this morning, Valor Mission. You know, we're in this great country, you know, still challenging times, but we all need to give and want to give. You want something to get back to, this is it. I'm gonna say one thing, I know Chad won't mind me saying it. I remember that 2009 event. My partner and I, he's not here today, but we were really getting going pretty good at Benchmark at that time, coming out of the 08 crisis. And David Faraday, who a lot of you know in the golf world, had not even started his show yet. He was just doing the Masters event, but he's a neighbor and a good friend of one of my friends. And he had said, hey, you guys want to help rent a plane and get some wounded veterans? And we were really wanting to help more veterans and blah, blah, blah. Out of that came this amazing relationship. So yeah, saying yes is a big deal. But I know this, I'm just gonna tell it quickly, what you're about to hear with Jimmy and what we're about to do. Giving back matters to this great country through the veteran cause. Last year in the spring, right in Dripping Springs, the other guy sitting in that Humvee that blew up when he lost his leg, that gentleman lost his leg too, and he took his own life last March. So let that sink in for a minute. I knew him. Chad gets up here and does this so over and over and over so well. He lives through that. He took that young man, or that guy's boys to our ranch, killed a deer last year. We have to give back. How about that? So, thanks, brother. Give him a hand again. So, we try to do it Valor. Jimmy's going to talk about it. He's our director. Yeah, that's the Army. Here's the Marines. Joe's over here too. Wave, Joe. Very special guy. But again, I want Jimmy to talk about Valor Mission and what we do. Thank you all today for listening and participating.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Chad. Thank you, everyone here. I'll make it quick. I know it's hot. So Valor Mission serves veterans, first responders, and quiet professionals through traditional and non-traditional mental health therapies, traumatic brain injury therapy, and other resources that they may need that aren't covered by the VA or typical insurance. So I am blessed to have people like Jim and Chad on my board. I wanted to be here today, not only for this amazing tribute in the Veteran Memorial, but also to support Chad on what is the most important day. He'll tell you his kid's being born, but the most important day of his military career is his alive day. And all the people that serve know that it's a major thing because you carry around this tremendous amount of pride and stress and guilt, and you know you have to watch your guys, you leave and your guys stay behind and have to continue to fight, and it has all this emotion. So we wanted to do something for Chad today, and you already heard him talk about being Superman. So we like to call him Captain America because he really was in the Army and he really was a captain, and he's kind of invincible, at least from the shin down on this side, and we're blessed to have him, and we kind of feel invincible when we're with him. And like, you surround yourself by the right people and you'll just be better by default. And so I contacted my brother, Joe Stazione from Prospect Hill Flag Company. He makes metal artwork. So Captain America needs a shield. So we made Chad wear a shield, an actual shield. It's the 75th Ranger emblem. It's their patch. This thing is actually bulletproof too, so it can stop bullets, solid steel. So thank you, Chad, and thank you, everyone.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we ask that our veterans with mobility issues exit the beer garden through the Welcome Center over to the plaza. Those of you that need a little bit more time, we're going to transition over to the plaza at this time.
I'm sorry, 1 second, I'll get it right out of the way.